Hi guys, and welcome to this video. This is Jamie from System22 and GreatWebDesign.com. We're going to continue on with our one-page scrolling Bootstrap site here, and we're going to start on our About section. So here's our About section. It's already there. Let's go to our custom CSS folder, or custom CSS file, which is the scrolling nav CSS. If you've been following along, that's in your folder here. When you download it, it's right inside that CSS folder right there. And we'll be working on our index.html file and our CSS files today. For those of you that haven't got it, you haven't been following along, well, Brackets text editor, this is a free download from brackets.io. You can download it from the link below this video. And as per usual, I'll put a PDF of all the code we're doing in this video below the video today. So back to our site. Alright, what I want to do here is I want to make that well, it's already a title, but I want to make it red, the same red color as we've been using before. So we're actually going to give it a class. We'll give it a class all of its own there, so we can start styling it. So if we go to our CSS, and I'm going to give it a title after our last entry there. I'll just call it headings. So / **/ as usual. And what we need to do, we need to go to that little about title. I'm going to give it a class of its own so we can work on it individually. I'll just save that. And if we go down to our about section here, right here, and this is the H1, I'm going to give it a class of its own. I'm going to call it heading red. Class equal heading red, because we're going to color it red. Then for every other section that we want to color red, from then on we can just give it that class and it'll style it the same way as the one we're about to do here. So if we just save that quickly and go back to our site, let's start working on this in the browser. If I just inspect it, there we are, we've got it inspected. Let's see what we actually want to do with it. The first thing I'm going to want to do is make it that nice red color that we've been using before there. So I'll just put this in here. That's made it that nice red color. And I want it to be sort of underlined, so I'm going to give it a red border, a little bit like what we've got going on with the styling up here. So I'm going to give it a 3-pixel red border at the bottom there. So it's border. Where do we want it? On the bottom. Colon. And we want it to be 3 pixels solid and that nice red color, I believe. There we have it. Now, okay, that's done what we want it to do, but that's not quite what I don't want it to be really long like that. I just want it to be the length of the actual words themselves. So what I need to do is I need to tell it to display it in an inline block. So let's try that. Colon, so it'll be inline and block. There we go. You can see it's shortened up. That's much more of the effect I was looking for there. Okay, and I want a bit of separation between those two, so I'll give it a padding bottom of say 15 or 20 pixels. Let's see what goes on here. Padding on the bottom. Try 15 pixels. Yeah, that's okay. Might let's try 20 pixels. Yeah, I like that better. And I think I'd like to make that uppercase a bit more like this, not quite as bold as that, but you know, I think I'd like to see it all caps. So I'm going to do some text transform. And uppercase, we want it all to be capitals. There we go, that looks like a heading that we can see there. And I'm going to be putting stuff underneath this, so I'm going to give it a little padding underneath to work with, or a bit of margin actually, because I don't want anything to start too close to it underneath. Say about this far, let's call it 100 pixels, we can always change it later. So I'll say margin bottom. And I'll give it 100 pixels. You won't see anything obviously there, but that's what we'll do. We're just going to copy this over for a minute and put it in a little blank notepad. So I'm just going to paste it into a blank notepad here, and I'll be copying it over to our CSS in a moment. But there's a few things we need to do first. If we go to our CSS, which is here, at the top we've already got some styling for that about section. Here it is right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut that out, Control X, and I'm going to put it in our about section. I'm going to start a new section down here and call it the about section. And I'm just going to paste that back in this section here, just so it's all in the same place. I didn't do that for the hero section, so we'll just remember that it's got a bit for that hero section up the top as well. Now I know I don't want a height of 100%, because a height of 100% is telling the screen, if I just get rid of that a minute, it's telling our screen, if we just go to the about section, to fill this whole section 100%. So although there's nothing in here, it's still filling our screen of 100%. So I'm going to get rid of that, because we'll be putting content in here and we don't necessarily want it to be that large. Padding at the top, that's that padding that's from the bottom of the hero section to the top of there. That's that padding. That can stay. Text line center, we may want to change that. The background color, I want to change that. I don't want it to be that sort of grey color. I want it to be white. Obviously you can make it whatever color you want to. So let's just put that in there. FFF we know is white. And do a quick save. Let's just refresh that. That should turn white now. Great. And of course this is changed back, because we haven't put that CSS in there, and now our services section's right underneath it, because this is no longer 100% here. So let's get back to our CSS there and put in that text heading we just saved earlier in that notepad, and we called it heading red, I believe, didn't we? That H1 class, heading red. There we are. So want to copy that. Or if your memory is good, you can just retype it. Mine isn't, so I'm going to copy it. Okay, so it's dot, real important you put that dot there. Heading red, open and close curly tags, curly brackets I should say. And we'll get our notepad and we'll just copy and paste that in there. I'm not going to get that bottom curly bracket there because I don't need it. And we'll just paste that in there. And we'll do a quick save. Back to our site. Now this should turn red. Put our little underline underneath it. There we go. There's our heading. And any other section we want to call heading red, we can just give it that class. I'll just demonstrate on this services section. If we go back to the the index HTML, and I'll go down to this service section, and I'll give it that same class. See, now it's got the same class, heading red. Okay, quick save, and back to our site. Now when I refresh, this should also turn red and have an underline underneath it. There you go. That's why we use classes. It saves redoing a bunch of CSS over and over again. But I'll just undo that because I don't want that color. That was just a demonstration. So I can just delete that, or I can actually just go Control Z or Control Z and it's done. Control S to save it back how it was. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to actually start building some content here. We're going to start doing some HTML. Now what I've got in mind for this site, I want to use some of our icons that are inbuilt with Bootstrap, or this particular version, Glyphicons. A lot of versions use the font Awesome, which I really love, but this has got Glyphicons. So what we need to do, you see here, we've got a container. That's containing the whole thing. Then we've got a class called row, and that's just the row with the heading in it. Inside we've got a div, which is just a large column. Now I want to make another large column like this. I'm going to actually copy the whole row because I want another row underneath it. So if I just copy this, drop down one, I still want it within this container because this is our about container. So if you highlight the first div there, it'll tell you where the closing div is, and I just want to remain within this div right here. And I'm going to put that there. So if I was to save this, well, I'll save it and show you, and go back, we'll have two about sections, one on top of each other. There we go, that's that first one. Here's the second one. In this second div right here, I'm going to put three little sections where we're going to have a little few comments about our site and a few icons. So let's go back. Let's get rid of this. Now the Bootstrap framework, as you can see there, this says column LG for large 12. If you look at your site, this whole page is divided up into 12 columns. Or at least the internal part is 12 columns. So this is one column of 12. If you want 3 columns, you've got to divide 12 by 3, which is 4. At least rumour has it. It was last time I checked. So let's just go back. And we've got a row, so these are all going to go beside each other. So I'm going to go large 4. Okay, now I'm just going to copy that underneath it, still within the row. So we've now got 3 columns of 4, which equal 12 within this row here. And what we're going to do with each of these sections, what I want to do is I want an icon. I'm going to make it quite large. Then I want a heading, and then I want a bit of paragraph text. And again, I'm just going to use some lorem ipsum filler text here. And when I say icons, so if we go to our folder with everything in it, you're going to see a folder called fonts, and inside there are our Glyphicon icons. Now you might be wondering what they are. If you just go to glyphicons.com, this is what they are right here. And if you click on any of them, it'll tell you what it's called. It's called Glyphicon's Heart, that one. Glyphicon's Clock. Glyphicon's Book. Okay, and you may be saying, well, okay, so how do I make them go into my site? Well, it's pretty easy actually, and I'll show you exactly how. What I'm going to do is open some more brackets here. I'm going to put I for icon, and then I'm going to give it the class equals, and you've got to say Glyphicon. So we'll put in Glyphicon, Glyphicon, And once you've got your Glyphicon there, let's go find one to put in there. Back to this side. That'll do right there, camera. Now it's really important. We'll copy this right here. Go back to our brackets. You've got to have one Glyphicon, and then you repeat Glyphicon again. And just paste that in there. So we've got Glyphicon, Glyphicon, camera. I'll just get rid of that space there. Then we'll close it. And it automatically puts a closed image tag there for us, or icon tag I should say. Now down below this I want another heading, so this time I'm going to use an H3 heading, and I'll change that in a moment to something more appropriate. And I don't know if you can remember, but we got H1, you got H1 through H6. H1 is usually the biggest and H6 will be the smallest. They sort of increment down in size. Obviously you customize them any way you want to. You can make them bigger or smaller, but it's up to you. Then I want a paragraph tag, and here I'm just going to put some lorem ipsum, some of that dummy text in. And I'll just delete those, tidy that up a little bit. Now if I just copy this, those 3 lines that we've put in there, I'll put them in the middle of our other sections here, our other divs right here. Save that. We'll go back to our site and do a refresh. Now it's not going to look really interesting, but you'll see we've got the bare bones, the structure there. There we go. We've got 3 headings. I'm not seeing any icon there for some reason. You see what I mean about the 3 sections divided by 4? If I wanted 4 sections, I'd made them 3 long. So 4 3s are 12. Okay, I see our problem here. We've actually got an S on the end of plural. We need just Glyphicon. So you got one Glyphicon, then you got Glyphicon dash whatever it is you're using there. Save. Now if we go back and refresh, you should see a little camera icon pop up there. There it is. Okay, well that doesn't really look too exciting, does it? But it's the bare bones, and we can start styling those. But what I'm going to do is I'll just change these 2 so we've got slightly different ones on each one. So if we just have a look, let's get see a heart. That little heart was quite nice. That one, and that's just heart, and something like camera-ish. Something round and camera-ish probably. There's one called adjust that's almost like a yin yang. I think I'll use that. Okay, I know where it is. I know what it is, so let's just do it. So if we change the second one here to heart, and the third one to adjust, and I spell that ADJ, I believe, and save that. Back to our site, quick refresh, those should change now. Yep, there's a little heart, and there's that little sort of yin yang sign I was talking about. Right, now we want to make this a little more CSS-y, bit more custom. So I'm going to go into the HTML and I give this an actual class. These little boxes here, I'm going to call them something like info, you know, a little information or something like that. So let's go back, and all these 4s I'm going to give it an extra class. It's already got one class, and all I need to do is put a space in there and give it another name. You can have multiple classes, that's not a problem. And that way we can add custom CSS to each of these individually. So I'm going to call it info, as you can see, inf for information. Now, I guess we'll start working on the icons first and make them a little more interesting. So I'll just give that a quick save back to the site. Now, what do we want to do with these? Let's inspect them. Actually, I'll do a quick refresh. There's our eye. So what do we want to do? We want to make them that nice red color for a start. Okay. Now we want to make them a lot bigger, I would have thought. So let's say font size. We just use a usual font size CSS to adjust the size. Let's try 50 pixels. Yeah, it's a bit better. Even make it even a little bit bigger. Let's say 65 pixels. Let's try that. Okay, yeah, that works for me. Now we want a bit of padding there, and we want to give them a little, make them stand out even more by having a little border around them. So let's give them some padding, because I want some space between them and the border. Let's say, let's try 30 pixels. And I'm only going to put one attribute for padding. That means it'll be all round, it will be 30 pixels. I'll push that heading down a little bit and see it's dropped down slightly there. Okay, now I want it to have a border. And it's much like we did with these, but I'm going to have a border all round, not just a border bottom. So I'm going to have a border, B-O-R-D-E-R. Might want to spell it right. Things don't tend to work when you spell them wrong. Border. Okay, and again we'll use the same as we used up above, which was 3 pixels. It was solid, and it was that nice red color again, which I think I've still got saved. Yep, there we go. So there, it's got a border around it, but I don't want it square. I want it round. No, I mean, all right, if you do want it square, that's fine. But let's make it round, and the way to do that is give your border a radius. Border radius. And a radius of 50%, and you can put some little corners on it. Say if you put 4 pixels or 5 pixels, it'll put little corners on there. I'll just demonstrate. Let's put, say, 10 pixels. It'll make the corners a little round there. You see they've gone round there. But I want the whole thing to be like a circle. And to do that, you give it a percentage, like 50%. Bunk. That makes it a circle like that. So that's more of the effect that I was looking for, and I want that to be on all of these here. So if we just copy our CSS as usual, and we'll put it into our little blank notepad. And go back to our CSS style sheet here. Okay, and we're in our about section here. Now I gave that section the name of inf for information. So we'll say inf.inf, which is selecting that little section there, and the icons, which is I. So inf I, open and close some curly brackets, back down, and we'll paste in what we just got from our page just there. Just tidy that up a little bit. Now when we go back and do a refresh, once I've saved this, all those little icons should have done that. So save this, Control S, back to our site. And a quick refresh. I'll just get rid of the inspector there. Okay, so they're all like that now. And obviously, well, I thought we put some padding on the bottom of there. Maybe we didn't, but I want some space between these two, so let's have a look. So we're missing our margin on the bottom of there, so 20 pixels. So I'll give that 100 on the bottom there. Let's go back to our CSS. There's our heading red. Well, for some reason I missed our margin CSS. So margin, bottom, or 100 pixels. Save that, and that should push it down. Go back, this should push this all down by 100 pixels. There we are, that's more like it. I don't know what happened there. Okay, we want our H3 tags there. Again, I think I'll have those red and capitalized. Let's make them say something that pertains to the site there, rather than just heading. Let's go back to our index HTML. There we are. So photography can be the first one. That's that little camera. And this one, that's a heart. Well, let's say passion. That works with heart. And that little black and white sort of symbol. Black and white. What about perfection? Got a bunch of P's there. Yeah, that'll work for me. Save that back to the site. And a quick refresh. Photography, passion, perfection. Yeah, that works. And again, these headings, I want to make those that nice red color. Make it that nice red color again. Just copy that from my little notepad over there. Yep. And again, we'll make that uppercase. I mean, you do it how you want to do it, but I'm going to make that uppercase. Yeah, that works for me. Let's just copy this over to our notepad here. And back to our style sheet, and we'll implement that. This time, same as this, but it's the inf section, which is correct. So it's .inf, but we're working on H3s right now. So open and close curly brackets, and just paste in what we had just there. That should change all of those to uppercase and to that red color. And a refresh. There we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, yeah, so let's make this a little bigger, and we'll align it to the left here. So we'll say font size. Say 16 pixels. Yep, that's right. I think I'm going to align that text to the left, so we'll do text align. And we want it left. There we go. So I'll just copy those two attributes. Back to our style sheet. If we go to our CSS, this time we're doing inf p because we're working on the paragraph text there. So .inf p. And close some curly brackets and just put that in there. Let's tidy that up. And this time all of those should now be should have aligned left and be that size now. There we go. Well, this is running on a bit, this video. I'm going to add some more stuff under this for the About section, another paragraph with some spans and a responsive image. But we'll save that for the next video. So thanks for watching. Again, this has been Jamie from System22 and GreatWebDesign.com. Download the code that we've changed from a PDF below the video. I'll make a download link for you. I'll see you in the next video.